Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Good to have you here as always. So this week I am talking more about Hammerskins. Yeah, more specifically the US Hammerskins and the time that I spent with them. Now in 2012 I traveled to the US as a full patched Hammerskin with the intention of traveling around, doing some tattooing and meeting and spending time with my brothers in all different states, all different chapters, and forming these bonds. And it was originally supposed to be a 6-month trip, but it got cut very, very short. Why? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to tell you about my trip from hell. So before we get into it, grab yourself your coffee, your popcorn, or your sody pop. And a big shout out to my bro Charlie and to Austin for buying me coffees. Really appreciate it as always. You guys keep me going. And hey, if you want to keep me going and support this channel, you can donate to buy me a coffee. All the links are in the description below. But let's get into it. Let's talk about my trip from hell with the Confederate Hammerskins. So in 2012, I decided I wanted to travel back to the US. Now I was a full patch Hammerskin and I was a tattooist then. And I thought, well, hey, I can just, kill a lot of birds with one stone and I can head back over and, travel around, do some conventions, do a few guest spots and hang out with my brothers. Meet up with all the different brothers from different chapters because I was traveling all around the US. Now, I was an admin on the forum and I had spent a lot of time talking to the brothers in the United States and, I had arranged to meet up with everyone and travel over there. And so I did. So I eventually got to Miami and did this convention and I was met there by one of the Hammerskins who I'd, arranged to meet there, and he brought one of the Crew 38 guys to the convention. He got tattooed. The Hammerskin that I met, fantastic guy. We got on really well. He was really welcoming and I thought, this is great. Okay, I need this right now, meeting good solid brothers. And hey, shout out to you because he actually, he contacted me a few weeks ago and just to say hi. And I'm glad he did because, man, he was one of the good guys and I was so grateful to have met him. After the convention, I hung around Miami for a couple of days, just catch up with some old tattoo friends, and then headed north to catch up with another one of the Hammerskins who was an admin on the forum along with me. Went and stayed with him for a couple of nights and he was a great guy. He, showed me around town. He showed me a lot of hospitality and I was like, cool, okay, another great guy. This is fantastic. Also met one of the old hammers, Doug, I believe his name was. Great old guy. They ended up taking me to the Don Garlits Drag Racing Museum. I'm a huge drag racing fan, and Big Daddy Don Garlits, yeah, man, I was all about it. And when I spent a couple of days with Pete, it was actually my birthday. And he asked me what I want to do for my birthday. And I was like, man, I want to go to Disney World or I want to go to Universal Studios, man. I want to go do something fun for my birthday. He's like, yeah, man, I'm down with that. Him and I ended up going to Universal Studios for the day, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and I felt like I was just with a great friend, another brother, having fun at Universal. I planned to head north to North Carolina via Georgia. Now, one of the brothers from Australia, from my chapter, his girlfriend actually lived in Georgia, and I was arranging to meet up with her. And we're going to drive to North Carolina to meet with the rest of the Hammers. They'd planned a big weekend for me. So I was like, all right, let's do this, I got a rental car, headed up there. That was cool, met up with her. The whole trip up there, she was, pissing in my ear, talking a lot of shit about different members of the club and everything. I told her to pull her head in, keep her mouth shut a couple of times. But I thought, okay, what's going on here? We got up to North Carolina. We pulled into the house where we're staying. The first hammer that I met was Brett Rackley, who is a singer of Definite Hate and 13 Knots. And the first thing he did is he came running up to the car, opened the door, and said, hey man, you're gonna tattoo my dick. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah man, you're a tattooist, you're a Hammerskin, so you're gonna tattoo my dick, man. I want a skeeter on my Peter. I'm like, hey, are you fucking for real? Are you straight up? And he's like, yeah, man, I've even got my own machines if you want to do it. And I'm like, man, I ain't tattooing anything. I ain't tattooing you a dick. I ain't tattooing anyone or anything here, man. I'm here to hang out with my brothers, not do dumb shit. He's like, oh, okay, man, that's cool, that's cool. I'm like, wow, what a great first introduction, huh? And I should have known then. I was like, wow, okay. This guy's a little bit out there. First introduction, I'm like, okay, I'm a bit dubious. You know, maybe she wasn't talking so much shit after all about these guys, meeting with these guys, and there were a few hammers there. I can't remember the names, but I can remember the name of the prospect that was there. It was Wade Michael Page. The Oak Creek Temple shootings, Wade Michael Page, that guy, yeah, he was a prospect under CHS, and he was there that weekend that I went there. To be fair, was one of the nicest guys that I met that entire weekend. So they decided, yeah, okay, we're gonna have this big, you know, shindig, gonna get everyone together. But then there was this other guy, and Brett told me that this guy had come over from South Carolina. He was hiding out there because he'd shot at a couple of state troopers a few days ago. This guy was a true definition of inbred redneck, missing teeth, and he had a look on his face that just said, future true crime documentary. So yeah, I was a bit dubious. I'm like, okay, you know, these guys are a bit out there, and it was becoming very obvious that they were out to see how far they could shock the Aussie. You know, because the Australian chapter was known for its antics and its hilarious, you know, its humor and use of vulgar words, according to the Americans. But hey, in Australia, everyone's a C word. Australia! Yeah, it didn't bother me that much at that point. Well, I'm used to this. I come from Australia. But then when the conversations turned to things like, hey, Brad, you ever wanted to kill a... I'm like, what? And he turned to me and said, hey, man, yeah, we can go pick up a black guy, throw him in the trunk of the car and take him into a cornfield, and, you know, you can off him or you can beat the fuck out of him, do whatever you want, man. I'm like, oh, these guys are just testing me. But then I looked at the crazy dude, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, man, I'm good. Yeah, I want to be able to leave this country. I don't want to spend time in your jails. And yeah, I'm just not about that, man. They asked me if I want to go to a Klan rally. You know, there's one tomorrow over in South Carolina. We can drive over and go to a Klan rally. And I'm like, I'm good, man. You know, I'm feeling uncomfortable about being around this level of redneck as it is. I don't want to go deeper. So a little after that, you know, we ate, and then Brett and Wade and another guy on drums decided to have a little impromptu concert in the front of the house, playing all these old Oi and RAC songs and a lot of their songs. They were kind of looking at me, expecting me to know the songs and sing along with them. But it was awful, man. I couldn't recognize anything. You know, he even started doing a Fortress cover, Victory of Valhalla. And he looked at me, he's like, you don't know this song? I'm like, what are you doing? What song are you doing? He's like, Victory of Valhalla. I'm like, I know that song well, and it doesn't sound like that. Sorry. Fuck, the music was terrible. Oh man, I couldn't wait for it to end and just, you know, like, please stop now. You know, I was like, man, this is living hell. I'm in hell right now. Like, oh my gosh, just fucking stop the noise. So eventually they did, and they're like, what do you want to do, man? And I'm like, what can I do to get me away from these people for a little bit? I'm like, hey, let's go to a titty bar. Let's go to a strip club, man. I'm a tattooist. You know, that's where tattooists generally hang out, especially in America. And they're like, well, there's 2 titty bars in town, and one we can't go into, so we'll take you to the other one, which is the worst one in town. I'm like, oh, yeah, great, okay. Sounds fun. So we go to this strip club, and it's a dive, you know. We walk in, and there's like, I think 7 or 8 of us. You know, 6 of us are Hammerskins, and we're all wearing shirts. And of course, security guys are like, no gang patches. We're like, it's not a gang patch, man. They let us in. We walk in, and it's pretty much 80% African American punters in the club. I went, okay, this is going to be interesting. And all eyes are on us, obviously. You know, and when 7 or 8 peckerwoods walk into a club, yeah, you're going to get noticed. I found myself a nice young lady to go and have a private dance with for about 20 minutes. And I was like, I'll see you guys later. I come back out, and a couple of the guys had already gone on outside. My bro's girlfriend, you know, she was gone too. I was like, okay, whatever. But then the security guy walked up to me, and he's like, hey, man, I think you should get you guys out of here. You know, all the locals are getting restless, and they're on their phones, and they're looking at you, and they're talking. So, you know, shit's going to go down soon if you guys stick around. And I'm like, cool, man. Thank you for the heads up. You know, I'm a security guard myself as well. So when another security guard tells you that, you generally want to pay attention and get the fuck out. So we did. I was like, come on, guys, let's get out of here. We're all going to head up and leave. And we walked out to the cars, and as we were walking past, there was a car doing a slow roll past us. One of the guys was like, come on, what? I'm like, dude, just let's go, let's just get out of here. I don't want to get shot in the car park of a seedy strip club in North Carolina, thanks. So let's go. I walked up to the truck, and we came in. One of the brothers was in the driver's seat. But then I noticed the truck was moving backwards and forwards. And what was going on? And I jumped in the passenger seat and I looked over, and here's Brett in the back with my bro's girlfriend. And he's fucking her, he's going to town, man. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, sorry, Nick. Brett Rackley fucked your missus. I was like, come on, let's just get the fuck out of here, and they broke it up, and we ended up going back to Brent's house, and I just went into my bed and just passed out. I'm like, oh fuck, I don't want to hang out with these guys. This was not a good first impression for me at all. So the next morning, we got up, my bro's girlfriend, she's like, who did I fuck? I'm like, you can't even remember? She's like, I was so drunk. I'm like, oh, yeah, typical excuse. Well, anyway, you fucked Brett Rackley and you raw dogged it. So I'd probably go get yourself checked after that. So we all went out for breakfast that morning, and they all decided that I needed to be treated to some down-home Southern cuisine. And they took me to this seedy little horrible dive cafe, which had Southern food, like grits and all that kind of stuff. And man, it just didn't taste good. I wasn't impressed by it. And within a couple of hours, man, it was all coming out. I had food poisoning. It's like, great, okay. So yeah, I ended up pretty sick. I ended up in bed pretty much all day. I couldn't get out. All I could do was just drink water and then run to the toilet. They'd invited a few more of the Hammers, they'd all traveled, to meet with me and hang out for the night. And I kind of felt bad because a couple of these guys seemed like really good dudes, and, they were a little bit disappointed that, I was sick, but hey, it's beyond my control. The next morning, I get woken up by someone jumping on my bed, and it's Wade in a pink dress, because Brett made him put on this dress and jump into bed with me so they could have photos, and he took a whole bunch of photos, to which I jumped out of bed and told Brett to delete them very quickly. Because I ain't about that bullshit. And he's like, oh, we're just having fun, brother. I'm like, no, that's not fun. That's taking shit too far. A little bit later on, I was still in bed, Wade came in and talked to me, and he hung out with me, and he actually kept checking on me, throughout the night, and he was pretty cool. And he said to me, he's like, man, thank you. Well, thank you for what? And he's like, for not treating me like shit. And he said, all these guys told me that, you were going to come over and just get me to do all this crazy shit because I'm a prospect, and, I was going to have to do whatever and blah, 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 because that's what they do. They treat me like crap, they're always getting me to do dumb shit. I mean, yeah, sure, we have fun with our prospects, even in Australia, I made my prospect do what we call the prospect shuffle. Now we scrap if anybody ask ya. Take 90 slug and cut and scatter, man, we'll blast ya. Niggas try hate us from a... little dumb things like that. What these guys were making Wade do is ridiculous. I mean, having a man put on a dress so he can jump into bed with another brother, that's not the pride that I was expecting from this organization. No. So I decided I want to get out of here. My bro's girlfriend said, hey, let's just head back to my place in Georgia and you can recover there. She drove us back, and I ended up staying there a couple of days to recover. It took me about 3 or 4 days to recover from this food poisoning. And I decided, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. I don't want to be here. If this is what this trip's going to be like the whole way through, I don't want any part of it. Meeting with those guys had left a bad taste in my mouth, especially for the organization. I'm like, man, I don't want to meet anymore if they're like this. So I bailed. I booked myself a flight back to Brisbane, and I jetted back. And I talked to the brothers back in Australia about how they were, and they all just laughed it off. They thought it was funny. A couple of them went, they're scum, whatever, but they're brothers. I tell you what, it just started me thinking about whether I wanted to be a part of an organization that has people like that in it. But these guys were kind of like the poster child for America, especially CHS. CHS are well known, especially with Brett being you know, lead singer of Definite Hate, and, you know, he was well known in the movement. And there were other guys like him. And I'm like, man, no, God, no way. Yeah, I'm all about brotherhood and, you know, fighting for a cause and, you know, following these beliefs and being stand-up, being good, decent human beings, because that's what we're supposed to be, right? I didn't see that. And I tell you what, that trip was one of the worst trips I've ever had in my life, anywhere in the world. When I returned to Australia, it was around about August of 2012. Yeah, I quit in February of 2013. That trip definitely started changing my views and started making me question whether I wanted to be a part of that organization, because it wasn't the stand-up organization that I always thought it was. And of course, with everything else that was going on and with me, you know, really questioning my beliefs and everything else, I left. You know, so now looking back, you know, I do have fond memories, especially of, you know, the Hammerskin that I met initially in Miami, and Doug, you know, who took me into the Don Gullett's museum. Like, always grateful for that. And those guys were stand up. And I, to be fair, if I had met more guys like that, maybe it would have been different. Maybe I would have stayed. Maybe I would have stayed longer. Who knows? So thankfully, all my other trips to the United States have been really good. Life has definitely changed for me now that I've gotten away from all that and, you know, followed a different path, of course. You know, when you follow a good path, life gets a lot better for you. But anyway, that's it for me for another week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening as always. If you want to keep seeing more, feel free to give this video a big like, even a super like if you want. Subscribe and hit that little bell to get notified, and you'll be seeing new videos from me each week. You can also support this channel by donating to my Buy Me a Coffee and merchandise. Yeah, I have merchandise on my Redbubble store, 70 designs. Go check it out. There's also my Patreon, the usual ways of supporting me. But thanks so much. I will see you next week. Peace out, and love and light to you.